I never missed a dinner, but since late better.
Listen, do you know where you're back?
No one protest makes a difference. I mean, I would say what makes a difference and is what's happening around the world at the moment, which is great, which is when you have strikes of different companies, different groups of workers joining up and beginning to organise and to take back that control which they handed over to politicians. Politicians should be accountable if they do not follow through on what they say they are going to do. Then that control that was given to them, that you handed over to them, needs to be taken back, and we need to organise ourselves. So yeah, any one protest doesn't make a difference on its own. However, there's a good crowd here, very active, very vocal, and I would have hope that that is part of the confidence of the Irish people about not paying, for example, the household charge and other issues.
If all this is a spectacle that will help the unions renegotiate the follow-on to Croke Park, this won't make a difference at all, because waving banners will change nothing. We have to be prepared to do something more. And one of the reasons I think there's a connection between, say, what went before, the things of the Magdalens and people working for free, you know, being slaves to the church practically, and what they expect us now to be slaves to the banks. If we're not prepared to get off our knees, and if they've convinced us through the media and through the form of that kind of mental and physical slavery we had before, it is no wonder people, you know, were told stay in their place, or you know, it's not safe to stand up. But we have to get off our knees, because I'm not raising my children to be slaves to pay off a bank deal. My children should be working and paying their taxes so that we have hospitals and things that benefit them. And we have to realise that if we're kicking this can down the road, our own children will be paying off.
I'd like to think it will make a difference, and the one thing is that being here today as part of a group, it means solidarity. And I just know myself as an impact member that I'm meeting other people today that I know, and I think that's good for us all, that we see one another and we're out together saying this is not good enough.
It has, but it's not something they should get a pat on the back for. It's the equivalent of if you've been sentenced to 20 years hard labour for a crime you didn't commit, that someone gets that changed to 40 years of house arrest. Like, that's not something to celebrate. It was never a debt in the first place, and what they've done then is they've copper fastened it. They've made sure that the private debt has been now officially made into government debt. So they're expecting us to forget about the past and forget that they didn't even ask for a write-down. That's not something to celebrate at all. There'll be some short-term benefits for it, but long-term, no, very, very bad. But they hope that we won't see that.
It is not the debt of the public, and therefore it should be paid privately. You know, we really should be looking at what has happened in Iceland, very obvious example, whereby, you know, banks went out of business. They're like any business, they took risks, they made investments, it didn't work out, then they should go out of business. We should not be, you know, propping up private businesses. It in fact is a contradiction of the system we are functioning in. You know, capitalism says your company goes out of business, well, we might help you out with unemployment benefit, but basically tough luck. So we're not following that, and this debt has been, you know, why is it that for every Irish person has €10,000 debt to their name, whereas every German person only 300? If I have my figures right, why such a great difference? And I don't think you can just put it down to the size of the populations.
Is there going to be more cuts for us down the road? Most certainly. And I think I find it sad that I'm here paying the bill. Like, let's put it this way. You borrow £1,000, €1,000, and you can't pay it back, and I'm taking responsibility and paying it back. I think that's silly, and I don't think it's right. And I feel it's sad that's what my government is doing. And we as a nation who needed, it's only over 100 years ago since we had to do something to make ourselves an independent state. And now we're like laptop dogs. It's rather sad.
No, not at all. You couldn't trust them after what they did. Neither them nor the current government have our interests at heart. You just saw there, they wouldn't apologise. They need 2 weeks to apologise to Magdalene, but they will run the minute their masters in Frankfurt blow a whistle. None of them are looking out for us. And as for myself, Satan will be dodging low-flying pigs while I skating to work before I vote for any of them.
I know their figures are up, and it just seems that we have very sharp memories in this situation, and I'm kind of sad about that. You know that, I mean, they did bring us to where we are today. They didn't bring us to our knees, they brought us lying down flat on the ground, and I think that is serious. And if you look at, say, we're doing this interview here in Limerick, what have we, 45% of young people unemployed at the minute? That's particularly high, I would think, and if it would probably be higher if more people hadn't gone abroad. So this so-called boom that we had, it lifted some boats, but it never lifted all, and that's very, very noticeable today.
Rising tide didn't lift all our boats.
No, it didn't. It actually lifted very few boats. And it lifted some of the boats to helicopter status or airplane status, but it definitely didn't lift many boats.